Okay, so our first presenter for this morning is Ricky Cabual Jr. and his study is about the role of language learning strategies to the foreign language students of Arellano University. So before we start, Ricky, I would like to inform you that you have 8 minutes for your presentation. Anyway, there is a timer that we are going to set so that you will be reminded if your time has already expired. Second, you start your presentation with the following. So, number one, basically you introduce who you are, and then after that, present the title of your research. And then after that, a brief, very brief background of your research, and then include the rationale or the rationale of your study, and then the statement of the problem, uh, uh, focus on the specific problem of your research. You present that using your PowerPoint, and then the method of your research. So aside from that, if there are any other clarifications, it will be included in the question and answer or open forum of your research presentation. So good luck, Ricky Cabuan. You may start.
Thank you po, Doc Ed. So good morning, everyone. Good morning to my fellow co-presenter, Ian Mantilas, and our professor, Doc Ed Padama. Today, I will be presenting to you my research proposal entitled The Role of Language Learning Strategies to the Foreign Language Student in Arellano University, Ligarda. So now let us go to the background of the study. So with the globalization already happening around the world, there is a need for us to be knowledgeable of not just our native language, but also of the foreign language. So there, according to the University of Georgia, over the past decade, our world has become more interdependent, and new technologies have allowed us to work in close contact with people all over the world. As relationships with countries grow, so does the need to speak a foreign language. Hence, foreign language study requires going through the process of learning a new language. While one learns differently from one another, language learning strategies are used by the students to cope up with their needs. So there you go. Before I state the problem that I want to solve in this research, I want to present the theories that is anchored in this study.
Okay, before we
So
go to the theory, actually, after this, you go directly to the specific problems of your research. Can you briefly state the rationale of your study? What was the reason why you chose this particular topic, subject, or issue?
Okay, okay. The reason why I decided to research on the language learning strategy is that with as I've said earlier, with the globalization happening all over the world, there is a need for us to learn a new language. Hence, I think there is this very minimal study on the techniques that or the strategies that is used by the students in in addressing or coping up with the needs of their language learning. And
Okay.
also, I think that with the language learning strategies being able to be presented, there is a there is a possibility of incorporating the language teaching techniques of the teachers in the academy towards teaching the students the language that they are learning.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's put this in perspective. You want to conduct a study regarding the role of language learning strategies, right?
Yes,
So,
Doc.
this is in the setting of the new normal. So, meaning there's a research gap that you need to fill up because we are in the new normal of teaching and learning process, right?
Yes, Doc. Yes.
Again, putting this in perspective, what would your research contribute to who would be the beneficiaries of this study?
So the beneficiaries, first and foremost, Doc Ed, is the students
Mhm.
as the main focus of this study.
Okay,
With the
let's focus on that. The students. What would be the benefits of this study to the students of
that
your study?
they will be introduced sir, to the different strategies that is being applied by other students, so that they will be able to find ways wherein they can be able to learn the language effectively through these strategies.
So would it be easier for the students to learn if this study is conducted? Once this study has been conducted, would it be convenient or more convenient for the students to learn any foreign language? Yes or
Yes,
no?
sir. Because
Mm.
yes, po. Yes.
Yes.
Because
So that's the
yes,
that's one of the benefits of your study, right?
yes, po, Doc.
Now you have to specify what particular convenience would this study give to these particular students. Okay? Another, in relation to the rationale of the study, what particular language would this study focus on? Is this in general term of foreign language subject, or there's a specific type of language that you are promoting or pushing to be studied upon?
So since this will be the respondents will be the foreign language students of Arellano University, the language that they are learning is in Chinese, both
Mm-hmm.
Mandarin and Hokkien. So I'll be focusing on the Mandarin side of
Okay,
Chinese.
so this is already ongoing, right?
Yes, Doc.
In the implementation of the subject foreign language. So you think, based on this study, that the learning of this foreign language is very critical, crucial, and important, and you need to improve the teaching strategy of this foreign language for the students to effectively and efficiently learn as compared to what they are going through right now, to develop the learning process based on what they are going through right now. Is that correct?
Yes, po, Doc.
After this study, there should be an improvement in the teaching of foreign language. Correct?
Yes, po, Doc.
Okay, now let's go to your specific problems.
Yeah, let's go to the statement of the problem. There you go. So the research sought to determine the discovery of the role of language learning strategies to the students taking up foreign language classes at the Artesian University Ligarda. So the main focus of this study was to answer the following question. Number one is to see are the students using language learning strategies? Number two, what are the learning strategies used by the students? And I want to see or to sought after what is the most common strategy used by the students and what is the least common strategy. Number three, what is the function of this strategy and how do these language learning strategies affect the daily language learning of the students taking up foreign language classes?
Okay, question number one, or SOP number one, specific question one. How would you answer that if I ask you that question? Are the students using language learning strategies? This particular or type of question is answerable by what? What particular type of answer? Logical,
Yes
right?
or
Answerable by yes or no, right?
yes or no po? Yes
Oh,
po.
yes or no. So again, compare SOP1 with SOP2. Would they overlap or in a way be relevant to one another? Are the language learning strategies used by the students, or what are the language learning strategies? So if you're asking them SOP number 2, therefore they already have SOP1, right?
Yes po, Doc Ed.
Oh, so is there a need to include SOP1? It will
No po,
already
Doc.
be encompassed under SOP2, right? Because
Yes
you're
po.
already asking them about the language learning strategy. So my advice is that you remove SOP1, since that is already or can already be answered in SOP2. So SOP2 will now become SOP1. You have 1, 2, 3 specific problems. Number one, you are looking at the learning strategies used by the students. Number two, what is the function of these strategies? Number three, how do language learning strategies affect their... Okay, is there anything missing in the SOP? After finding all of this, how do the language learning strategy affect the learning of the students? Is there anything, is there anything lacking? It's like, parang bitin. 'Di ba? Once you find out, you've discovered that there is something lacking, what are you supposed to do next as a researcher?
I think the problem that is missing here, sir, is the recommendation part po.
Okay. You do not leave the study hanging, right? Hindi dapat
Yes po, Doc Ed.
nangabitin. You have a problem, you identify the reasons behind these problems, behind these questions, and then after that, the usual mistake is that they leave it hanging. Nakabitin na lang. Once you've identified the reasons for your issue, what are you going to do next? Which is the common question given during the defense. So you include recommendations. You may also include for further studies. For further studies, what topics may also be investigated in relation to foreign language learning strategies. Ano pang ibang area ang pwedeng imbestigahan, right? Are you going to propose a plan, an intervention, a strategy?
I will be proposing a strategy po, sir.
A strategy, not just a recommendation.
Yes po.
So if you're going to propose a strategy in teaching language learning, this would now become what type of research?
Quantitative doctor.
No, what specific type of quantitative research? If you have a strategy that you're going to present, if you have a plan, if you have an intervention, not just a recommendation. It starts with the letter A.
Action research.
Action research. Very good. When you have a concrete plan, a strategy, an intervention, your research now will be classified as an action research because you are going to use whatever you found out, whatever you discovered in your research in a program, an intervention, or a plan to improve. To improve what you've discovered is lacking. Tama ba? Yan ang maganda sa research, hindi ba? Meron kayong naitutulong. Hindi lang siya nakabitin, hindi lang siya may recommendation, pero pwede namang hindi nila gawin o gawin. Mas maganda yan, meron kang plan na ipipresent sa kanila. And that is what is usually done right now, which is action research. Okay, actually, the rest of the questions are already minor. You've already answered one of them, which is the method of the research. You're going to use quantitative research. And then aside from that, what particular instrument are you going to use? Which is also important and crucial in your research.
Doc Ed, to be honest po, if you are going to look at my manuscript, the manuscript of my research, what is stated there is that it is going to be a qualitative research.
Okay.
But since sir, you have raised that I have also answered your question that there will be a recommendation. I will be making use of a qualitative and a quantitative research. As for the instrument, Doc Ed, I have encountered this research by Oxford in the 1987, if I'm not mistaken. He made use of this questionnaire called the SILL or the
Okay, you have a standardized instrument. You're going to use a standardized instrument because are you going to borrow or going to modify what you have borrowed?
Since I will be focusing on the Mandarin, sir, I will be modifying it.
Okay, now it is called a modified standardized instrument. A standardized instrument is a tool that has been used in other researches. If you're not going to modify that, there is no need for validation. If you use a standardized instrument but you modify the contents, you still need to go through validation. That is allowed. That is allowed. You can do that. Okay? So there is no problem with that. With regard to your quanti-quali or quantitative qualitative method, why did you say that this is quantitative qualitative?
Because if you are going to look at my title, I am looking for the role of the role or the how do these language learning strategies affect the daily language learning of our students taking up foreign language classes. And I think the best way to get their experiences in language learning strategies is that to have them interviewed of
Yes,
how
correct.
they use this language learning
Yes,
strategies.
correct. That is why you're using quanti-quali because you are implementing a combination of two types of data gathering. Nasa data gathering lang yan, kaya siya quanti-quali. you are using interview, which is qualitative, and you also have a survey type questionnaire. Is that correct?
Yes po, Dr.
Oo. So if you combine both of them, this will now become a quanti-quali research. But this is still an action research since you're going to propose a strategy. That is what I want you to know when you are conducting your research. And right now, I see that you are familiar with these processes, which is a good sign. You know the direction that you're going to. Okay? So there's no problem. Quanti-quali is also known as what? Mixed method or
Mixed
hybrid
method.
method. Okay? So just in case you're going to use this in your next subject or in the implementation of your research as a whole, the full research until chapter 5, at least you're already familiar with the content of your research. So which is good. So I think that those are the most crucial part of your research, the SOP and the instrument. So at least you've already clarified and we have already brought that up and it's already clear so that you already know the direction that you're going to go to. Okay, so thank you very much, Kyric Cabual. That was a very good presentation. Thank you
Thank
for
you po.
sharing. And again, before you go, on cam and on record, this presentation is recorded, and I would like to get your consent that you have consented in the recording and the publishing of this video in our YouTube channel so that other students may also learn from your presentation. Are you agreeable to that?
Yes po, Dr. It's
Okay,
okay
o
po.
sinabi mo yan ha. Sige, thank you,
Yes
thank
po.
you.
Thank
O, you
you po,
are
Dr.
excused, you are excused. Thank you. Okay? Okay.